We are back for another week of Dana White's Contender series. We've had some good picks. We've had some bad picks. Unfortunately for me, most of the people only remember the bad ones, but that's okay. We're here for another 5-fight card, and hopefully we can get a few good ones. Am I right? There is something to note that I do make all these videos prior to the odds dropping, so I don't know the odds on these fights. I do only wait until after the fights on Saturday to drop the videos for the simple fact that you guys aren't going to watch them until after the UFC card, because most people in this content consumption space have a one-track mind. They're focused on the card that's coming up next, and then after that, they can look at the next. It will hurt the videos if I put them up earlier. So that is why I don't know the odds. So keep that in mind. But we're going to break this one down. Now, we have Kody, Steele taking on, I'm going to mess this up probably pretty bad, Quemuel, Ottoni. We're going to go with Ottoni, okay? We're going to go with Ottoni. Quemuel is, I think, what his first name is, but I could be way off. Either way, Kody, Steele, Ottoni, 170 is the weight class here. And this is an interesting to note because we're going to get this out of the way right away. Ottoni is the guy who his biggest claim to fame is the fact that he beat Alex Pereira in a MMA fight prior to Pereira's run in the UFC, who is currently the light heavyweight champion. That's pretty crazy considering this is a 170-pound fight. I know that Ottoni was up at 185 in that match up, so something to take note of. But either way, that is a big win. And that's easily going to be the biggest win in this guy's career. And that's not a slight at the guy. I mean, even if he goes on to become a champion in the UFC, I mean, beating a two-division champion that is two divisions higher than you're competing at is probably your biggest win. But it happened prior to Alex getting the skill upgrade that we've seen him get. So in that matchup, I'm going to just get the elephant out of the room. Alex could not grapple very well, like at all. He could not at all. He did a couple of things, but you could tell he was very amateurish on the ground, and Ottoni was able to take advantage of that pretty easily. So I want to get that out of the way. A lot of people are going to bring that up. A lot of people are going to say, oh, yeah, this guy, he beat Poatan. He did, but it was like 2015 or something like that. I don't know if that's the exact year, but it was somewhere around there, the mid-20 teens. It's a different guy, basically. But anyway, we can break down this matchup. In this one here, both these guys are 5-0 in their last 5 fights. Kody Steele is rocking a 6-0 undefeated record in the career. And now I understand you're looking at that like 6-0, that's not very many fights. It's not. He comes from a grappling background. He's competed in grappling matches quite a bit, and his grappling seems to have translated well, but it is different. You got to account for strikes, things like that. So it's not exactly experience, but it is experience competing in a martial art in front of crowds. So there is that. But 6-0 in MMA, he's looked pretty good thus far. For Ottoni, only 3 losses. This guy's fought quite a few, different weight classes. I guess 2 weight classes. But he's also, he's fought a pretty good level of competition. Poatan being pretty impressive as well. 12-3 on the career. He is going to be the taller fighter by a pretty good margin. I mean, 5'9" for Kody Steele versus 6 foot for Ottoni. We're going to start on the Ottoni side for breaking down skills. Now, for Ottoni, he's pretty good everywhere, right? He's a good striker with good forward pressure and very good volume. I like the fact that his strikes come from all angles, but I don't like the fact that his hands are incredibly low. I believe his hands are low to aid in his takedown defense, which we're going to cover in a little bit. But I don't really like it for his striking. Well, I do, but I don't. I don't like it because it leaves him wide open to be hit because he relies on his head movement. Now, his head movement is good for the first strike. So, like, he'll get out of the way of the first strike, but then he doesn't know where to go from there, or he just doesn't have the ability to keep moving, kind of like an Anderson Silva style. I mean, no shame, Anderson Silva is one of the best ever, but if there's 2, 3, 4 punches coming at him, he'll start getting hit by the second, third, and fourth. Sometimes he gets out of the way the first 2, but the combinations are what get him. But I do like this head movement for the initial strike. Usually he can counter back off of that. I do like the odd angles, like I said, and I like the volume and forward pressure. I do think he's going to try to come forward in this one, but both of these guys are going to do that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. I do like his grappling as well outside of his takedown defense. So like I said, he keeps his hands low to aid in the takedown defense. But for a guy with the hands low, ready to, get on that sprawl, I've seen him taken down quite a few times. And I understand, yes, he stuffed some takedowns on the regional scene. He's going against a really strong takedown threat here. So we'll cover that in a minute. But the takedown defense is a concern. However, he's got good ability to reverse position on the mat. He can take the back very well. His transitions in general are extremely effective. And he's got pretty good ground and pound as well. He's basically an all-around pretty good fighter. He's going to have the length here. He's going to have, a very well-rounded skill set. He's going to be dangerous in this matchup. When we look at Cody Steele, however, he is definitely a grappler first and foremost, but he has pretty good striking, mostly set up by the grappling threat. When I look at his striking, though, his dirty boxing is my favorite thing about him. When he gets in the clinch, slams things like elbows. He can break off the clinch and still keep that kind of, in tight in the pocket, just like ripping body shots coming up top, stuff like that. He does a good job about making fights ugly in tight. And that is something that he's going to want to do here, being the shorter guy. So he does a good job there. Basic combinations. Now, when I put basic, that doesn't mean it's like, oh, they're bad. It means he sticks to basic combinations, like your 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? Or like 1, 2, 6. Like, nothing super crazy. Like he's just doing, maybe a 3-punch combo, 4-punch combo, but they're simple combos. They're nothing wild, but they're effective. And that is a good thing. So I do like the basic combinations he does, and they do set up his takedowns, which is impressive because a lot of guys can't go from strikes to a takedown. Cody still does a good job with it. Now, the problem is he's wide open to counters because sometimes what he'll do is he'll go in there and just start swinging these big hooks like this, and dude is just wide open to be cracked. And if anybody can crack him, it's Ottoni here, who has punches coming from odd angles. So if you're swinging wild, you might not see that coming and you might get cracked. So keep that in mind in this matchup. This is a problem for him. However, if he tries to get the grappling going, I think he's going to have some success, and I think that is his best path to victory here. For Cody Steele, if he starts going for the takedowns, I think he's going to get them. He has a good ability to mat return, and once he takes your back, you're in a lot of trouble. He's very good at taking the back. He can do it on the mat or up against the cage if he does somehow struggle to get the takedowns in this matchup. I do think he'll be able to get the fight to the cage, and he can take the back from there. Now, both of these guys have clear paths to victory. Ottoni has a definite shot of knocking out Cody Steele, but ultimately I think Cody Steele's going to be able to secure the takedowns. I think if he has to eat a shot or two, he will have the durability to do so. He's only got 6 professional fights, so he hasn't clocked up the miles on the chin. So for me, I'm taking Cody Steele. I do wonder, though, what the odds will look like in this matchup because Ottoni does have that win over Poatan. And you would assume the UFC wants, the guy that's got the win over Poatan, but either way, I think Cody Steele's the better overall MMA fighter, and I think he's going to be able to implement his grappling here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I really appreciate you guys tuning in for these videos. Like the video while you're down there. It does help a lot, and there is a playlist with the rest of the fights on it, so go ahead and check that out if you will, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.